Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we gotta talk about Matt Walsh's new, latest mockumentary coming from the DailyWire entitled Am I Racist? This supposedly Sacha Baron Cohen-like comedy that exposes the left for all their crazy ideas surrounding race dropped in theaters. I went to go see this in the theater, and I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I've decided that I'm going to review this as if it is a real movie, not as if it's something that is tangentially related to my political side, because the goal of the Daily Wire, as stated by them with this project of producing films, is to create entertainment that is broadly appealing, that doesn't have all the woke stuff that you see in Hollywood. And if we ever want them to actually be good at producing these types of works, we have to judge them as if we would judge a normal movie. So get ready. I'm going to tell you the absolute truth about this film. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Clear what's happening in this country. It's Nazism. Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
So to be clear right off the top, even though I'm going to be very critical of this film, there are funny bits, funny segments in the film that deserve credit. And I give credit for the Daily Wire for actually putting up the money in order to make these kind of things happen, because getting these DEI people, these woke scolds, to actually be in the movie costs a lot of money, and they show you the cost of their appearances throughout the course of the film, because the race hustle is in fact a hustle, and I do appreciate them highlighting that. However, when I was watching this movie after the opening scene, which by the way actually had a good joke to kick it off, we run into some serious significant problems, and these are basic problems in terms of film structure. And if you guys are unaware, in almost every movie that you watch, there's a call to action that takes place at about the 10-minute mark, and that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the movie. However, in this particular film, after the opening bit, which is short but funny, you end up waiting around 25 minutes for Matt Walsh to put on the wig and disguise and whatnot, and that's just far too long, because what they end up filling in that space with is a bunch of different segments where he's acting, like actually acting in this fake diner scene that I really, really wish was cut down dramatically in the movie. And of course, the sequence where he goes as Matt Walsh, not in disguise, to a DEI meeting, and they figure out who he is.
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
Can you please leave?
If I'm going to sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover. If I want to be an ally, I need to look like one.
Look, I really genuinely don't want to come down too hard on this film. I really obviously agree with a lot of the policy messages related to this movie, but the fact of the matter is, this was pitched to us as a Sacha Baron Cohen-like comedy where these people are allowed to bury themselves, and that is just not what we got. There are scene after scene in this very long movie in between comedic bits that completely destroy the pacing of said film. There are unnecessary interviews that are meant to show you that people in the South, they're not racist at all. Every ordinary person, they almost never think about the topic, and they really legitimately needed to be cut from this film because it's losing focus when they go to that. As heartwarming as it is for them to meet a black immigrant business owner with 52 grandkids that loves America and doesn't care about the color of your skin, it has nothing to do with the message at hand. As heartwarming as it might be for him to go into a southern biker bar and talk to people who don't care about the color of your skin, it doesn't actually help the message of the film.
What are you doing to decenter your whiteness?
Who's making it the center? Why are they doing that?
And that time could be better spent exposing the people who are obsessed with race and all the crazy beliefs that they have. But the fact is, the film doesn't have the focus in order to do that.
The entire system has to burn. And I'm not going to even use save this country. This country is not worth saving. This country is a piece of shit.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
So as I'm watching this trailer for the review, there are little tidbits here and there that are really good, really well executed. The race to dinner sequence is hilarious, and my wife, who's not interested in politics, who came to this movie with me, was laughing a lot at the physical comedy that was there. And of course, it is outrageous what these race to dinner people are showing you or saying during these dinners, which of course cost like $5,000 in order to attend. So I do appreciate the exposure of that to a broader audience, but the problem is, unless this movie is actually legitimately funny throughout, it's not going to appeal to a broader audience. Like, I can't recommend this to my normie friends that are not into politics as something that they should spend money to watch, because I know that they'll be bored throughout the majority of the runtime, because this movie, again, doesn't have the focus. And honestly, Matt Walsh doesn't have the necessary edge in order to push these people to show you how extreme they actually are. And to give you an example of this, there's a sequence early on in the movie where Matt Walsh is talking to a woman who says that America is racist to its bones, and this is the inherently racist bit from the trailer.
Is America inherently racist?
What the hell is that?
The word inherent is challenging there. America is racist to its bones. All of the...
So inherently.
Yeah.
And during the course of that sequence, Matt Walsh ends up bringing up his racist uncle that he is offended by. And he actually ends up confronting him in a classroom in front of people. And he repeats the joke that his uncle, who's in a wheelchair and depicted as disabled and basically completely helpless, told 20 years ago that bothered him so much. And after this, something magical happens. And when I say magical, I mean exactly what this film should have done at each and every step throughout the course of it. And that is, a bunch of people in the classroom start screaming at him and start swearing at him. And the thing is, if Matt Walsh was better at the job that he needed to do for this film, he would have encouraged that more. He should have gotten everybody in the classroom to come up and scream in the face of this elderly wheelchair-bound man just because of the crime that he committed, which was telling a racist joke 20 years ago.
I'll look around the room and point to who we believe is the most racist person in the room.
I think this scene, of all the scenes in the movie, is the one that showed the glaring weaknesses of the Daily Wire, of Matt Walsh as a Sacha Baron Cohen-like character, more than anything else. Because after that, what I would have directed the people to do is ball up paper and start chucking paper at him while condemning him, because the goal of these scenes should be to show you that these people that are this race obsessed, that are this race conscious, are absolutely crazy in every possible way. But Matt Walsh doesn't push them that far. Now, there is a moment where he hands out whips to people, encouraging them to whip themselves, and it is funny that some of these people ended up taking the whips and actually were willing to do this, and Walsh had to stop them before that, and that's all good stuff. But what you need is a build-up. What you need is to show step by step how you can push these people in order for them to get to the point where they start whipping themselves, just so people can see how crazy this so-called anti-racist ideology actually is. But again, the film is lacking in that department, and it's throughout the whole course of the movie that Walsh fails to achieve this goal, and this is why this is not a Sacha Baron Cohen style comedy. And I know people are going to say, hey, that's totally unfair to compare him to Sacha Baron Cohen, but I'm not making those comparisons. Matt Walsh is making those comparisons.
White.
Folks,
White.
trash, white supremacy, white woman, white boy,
White.
entitlement,
White.
centering, white silence.
Is there a black person around here?
There's a black person right here. Does he not exist?
Look, as I'm seeing this trailer, one of the things that I also realized is that contrary to what Matt Walsh told you after the trailer dropped, most of the best parts are, in fact, in the trailer. Most of the best bits of comedy are present there. And the fact of the matter is, Matt Walsh has a dry sense of humor, which can totally work for this role, but he does not really apply this appropriately. And this is totally understandable. The guy is a radio show host. He is a podcast host. He is not a comedian, and he's not an actor, which normally wouldn't be that much of a problem if you're making a documentary. In fact, it wasn't a problem when he was making the comedic documentary What is a Woman, but it is a problem here because he is trying to make a comedy, and there's only so many ways I could tell you that huge portions of this movie just weren't funny before I start repeating myself to the point where I'm even annoying you. But here's something that I really want you guys to understand. Having a camera and pointing it at somebody when you're doing any of these interviews has a level of power. And in no scene did Matt Walsh utilize the power of the camera more effectively than the scene with Robin DiAngelo, which I will not spoil for you, even though it's being spoiled repeatedly on the internet.com, which is really unfortunate. But the thing is, if you know that you have that power, if you understand that in the context of Robin DiAngelo, what you need to do is utilize that power against the people that actually are being interviewed in your film. Again, a la Sacha Baron Cohen, or the same way that I did when I was about 24 years old and I had a video production project and I decided to demonstrate this to my class by going to another campus, interviewing people, and getting them to say all kinds of crazy things and do all kinds of crazy things.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. And what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Matt. Hi, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
I just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
Here's an example to illustrate my point from when I actually used to do this when I was in a university. I would go to another campus. I would interview people, ask them if they want to be on camera and all that. And one of the first questions I would ask them is what their major is. They would then give me their major. Let's say it was English. And I would say, hey, listen, I actually have too many English majors for my project, so if you could help me out and say instead that your major is computer science, I would really appreciate it because I need to have multiple different majors. I would then repeat the question to them, they would answer computer science, and then I would ask them a technical programming question that obviously they would not know, and the most amazing thing about this was they would then try to answer it. They would then play along because, again, I have the camera. They already agreed. They felt the social pressure, and they would push themselves to lie on camera for me, who they just met, and again, is only using an advanced camera in terms of something that they've seen, but it's not super fancy or anything like that because we're still talking about a college level. So if I'm able to do that in my mid-20s with just a minimal nudging, minimal suggestion, and again, it doesn't have any of the social stigma associated with being racist or the desire to perform being an anti-racist, imagine how much more Matt Walsh could have pushed these everyday people to actually say and do crazy things if he actually had the edge and the incentive to do so. This is why I'm so disappointed about this film. It's such a missed opportunity, and the Daily Wire has money. They have good audio stuff. There's some issues that I have with the way that the movie was shot and it not looking particularly cinematic in huge portions of the movie, but you can fix that with talented people behind the camera. But overall, they would have everything that they would need in order to exploit the phenomenon that I'm talking about in order to make this film more funny, more successful, and every single scene end with a comedic bit. But the fact of the matter is, this movie doesn't really do that. It doesn't really hit those notes. When it does, it's great and it's wonderful. And what I want them to do is distill the parts that worked, get rid of the junk that didn't, and then you would have a better film. There are huge portions of this that are staged in a diner where Matt Walsh is just talking to everyday people, and he ends up concluding with this big dramatic speech, and all of that needs to be cut from the movie because it's not good, it's not entertaining, and you could use that time, better spend that time actually showing how crazy these people actually are. And when you pay all this money to interview people and you don't get a lot out of most of them, that's really unfortunate. That's honestly a bit tragic because it doesn't show people exactly how maddening these anti-racist activists can actually be.
What you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. This is more for you in this view.
Look, so overall, there are some reasons that you might want to support this movie. Maybe you believe in the Daily Wire's mission. I'm not really the biggest Daily Wire guy. I never have been. And you want to support that. Or maybe you just genuinely believe in the idea of like an alternate to the woke Hollywood establishment, and that's why you want to put your money down on the table. But for me, the number one reason I would have wanted you to support this movie is because it was hilarious, because from top to bottom, it was well executed, and it was because Matt Walsh was able to pull off this role, and he was able to push people to the extremes that he needed to push people in order to get those laughs out of people in the audience. That's what I wanted to get out of this movie, and I can't can't lie to you guys and say that it actually exists. So is it worth seeing? In my opinion, for me, it was, but I don't know if most people in the general audience are going to feel the same way. I don't know if your average film goer is going to see this and not be bored out of their mind or actually be entertained by the few funny moments. And in fact, I lead dramatically to the idea that they will follow the former and not be very entertained throughout the course of this movie. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to know if you think I should be treating this like a regular ordinary movie, or I should do the kid gloves routine that a lot of people seemingly are able to do. Also, if you've seen this movie, do you agree with some of my critiques, or did you think that those parts that were undoubtedly boring and you're wrong about were actually somehow entertaining? Again, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Matt Walsh's latest film. Till next time.